Hey Chiefs fans, welcome to another episode of the You Got That Chief podcast. I'm your host Tyler Bruton, and with me always is Jackson Curtright.
Preseason week 4 in the books. The preseason is done, and we'll kick off the season on Thursday.
Yeah, thank God preseason's over. It feels like it's been going on for about 3 months now with all the camps and then all the games. I'm really looking forward to this season. We open up with the Patriots at Foxborough, so should be a good matchup. Really hoping the defense shows up, and then hopefully we can get that offense rolling.
Yeah, preseason always seems like kind of a boring situation, but it is kind of nice to slowly work yourself back in from the off-season slum. You always kind of forget how much you don't care for the preseason when you get no football.
Yes, it's like little baby steps, a little bit of foreplay.
Yeah, but now you get college football coming back in. You get Chiefs football coming back in. You have the Royals who are going to tail off sometime very soon. And we are just in full football mode now.
Yes, and I've been looking forward to it for quite a while. I was very impressed with the rookies that we had drafted during the preseason. Mahomes looked good. He still has some things to work on.
Mahomes threw a couple bad passes last week.
Yeah.
There were the two balls that were picked but not picked.
Mm-hmm.
He got lucky. If that's a starting defense, literally for any other team, like the starting unit, that's 2 picks at least.
And there was a couple times.
The first one was a throw he shouldn't have made.
Yeah.
The first one was trying to make a play that just eat it. Just
throw it away
peg a kid in the stands who's in the third row. Just peg him.
Yeah. One lucky fan goes home with the football today.
With a broken nose and a football. And the other one, he tried to sail it, and it didn't come out of his hand right, and it turned into more of a line drive than a sail in there. But, I mean, it's preseason. It doesn't matter. Just you can make mistakes. Just learn from them.
And
don't do them
mostly we walked away pretty much injury-free, except for Spencer Ware. We lost him for the whole season with that PCL tear, so he'll have surgery soon. But Kareem Hunt is going to take over for the running back duties, and he showed quite a bit of promise. So looking forward, he might be someone you have on your fantasy football radars if you play fantasy. He'll get a lot of the carries. I think he'll still split some carries with Spiller and West, of course, but
I think he's going to be your primary touchdown receiver.
Yeah.
I think he will be your short yardage back. I don't think Spiller or West is very, very suited for that role.
No.
And I think West must have slept with one of the linemen's wives because they just do not open up holes for him. They just do not like him, I guess.
No. He just doesn't have that lateral ability to shake off defenders and whatnot. So, and Spiller turned back the clock, and we thought he was just going to be a camp body, but he ends up making the roster. So, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, Spiller's problem was always he just got hurt.
Yeah.
And when he looks healthy,
watch out.
He's the same old CJ Spiller.
Yeah, watch out for him. I felt like the receiving core made quite a bit of strides, after losing Jeremy Maclin, after they cut him. And, I mean, I feel like Chris Conley still has a little bit he needs to make that next step this year. If not, they'll find someone else. He's still got a way to
go.
Yeah.
He's still got a ways to go. And it's not... He's got all the physical tools. I just don't know what is taking him so long to put it together. Because he's a smart guy. Smart guy came out of the University of Georgia.
Very smart, athletic freak. Just needs to make those strides.
Yeah, just needs to be able to create some more separation between he and the cornerback.
But Demarcus Robinson in that last preseason game almost had over 130 yards receiving. And hopefully we get to see in the future with that Robinson Mahomes connection more often.
I really liked Robinson coming out of Florida last year. He has the opportunity to be a very sneaky good receiver for the Chiefs. I don't think he'll ever be a true number one, but when you have Hill, you don't need a true number one anymore.
Yeah, he could.
I think he could fill in the second receiver role very well. I don't know if I'd like him out of the slot, but I feel like put him outside with a team's second best corner. I think he can make some plays.
I agree with that. He has some good ability, and he's a pretty strong contributor on special teams as well.
If you're going to make a roster, you can sure make it at special teams.
Let's move into today is Saturday, September 2nd, and it is the cut day for all the teams around the league. And
I have to move from 90 to 54.
53.
53.
Yes, and I'm looking at the list of cuts, and I'm not really surprised in a lot of these guys. I mean, there's some that were like, oh, okay, that's kind of the direction they're going to go.
Yeah, you see that with Malga, Reed, Kemp, and then March Lillard.
Yeah. Gavin Escobar was kind of a surprise to me. I thought he would take the spot over Ross Travis, but they went with Ross Travis here. So Escobar had some.
The Chiefs are only keeping 3 tight ends, which is odd.
Yeah.
For right now, they're only keeping 3. Who knows if they'll pick up somebody else today, but Escobar could catch most things thrown his way. He just couldn't block anyone.
No. And he had some issues when he was at Dallas with that. I know dropped balls were kind of a concern, but he caught the ones that were thrown, but there's more to the tight end position than just catching balls. You got to be able to block too. So
yeah, there's a reason why you're not playing receiver. And if you're going to be a receiving tight end, you god dang better not drop any footballs. Yeah, it's just the way it is. We pay you to catch them. Don't drop them because you're pretty replaceable right now.
That is correct. And they made a trade last night. David King, who's a D lineman, they traded him to the Titans. So
yeah. King really made an impression on the Titans, I guess.
Yeah.
He played most of the 4th preseason game and worked his way onto a roster spot. That's basically what the 4th preseason game is. Just go out there, make a roster.
Show those skills off. And
yeah, you might not make a roster here, but everybody else is watching every other game too.
Yeah, so good for him.
Good on him.
It saves a guy from being cut and gets to a team that wants him, so...
yeah, that was just what it's. I think it's a 7th conditional.
Yeah.
Which basically just means that the Titans liked him enough that they didn't want to try to. They thought somebody else would pick him up off the waiver wire. Mm-hmm. It's just secure your guy, and even if it doesn't work out, just good for him, man.
Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much. The ones that kind of stood out for me, most of the guys that, like the veterans that got cut, like Maga and Ja Reed, that's because the Chiefs replaced them through trades, and let's talk about that in our next segment. Just traded for Reggie Ragland, middle linebacker from the Bills. He was a 2nd-round pick, went to Alabama. Actually, I was kind of hoping they would have drafted him drafted him in his draft, but they traded down and got Chris Big Dick Jones instead.
Yeah, Ragland is, as you said, inside linebacker of the University of Alabama. He really should have been a first-round pick. He got pushed back because of a enlarged something to do with his heart being an abnormal size.
Mm-hmm. He plays with a big heart.
Plays with a lot of heart. So you always just kind of worry about that. I don't know if it's actually that big a deal. I think if it was, hey, you could die on the football field, somebody would be more vocal about him not playing.
Yeah.
I think it's more like playing with if you need an inhaler or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more like playing with asthma. Yeah. Where yes, it's not ideal, but you can still do it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it affects him. I think the reason the Chiefs got him kind of cheap, he didn't fit well with the Bills' defense after moving to the 4-3.
He's a Rexy boy.
Yeah, he's a Rex Ryan product, and he tore his ACL and had to miss the entire season. So,
yeah, I mean, the Bills moved on from Rex Ryan, and they're trying to switch back to a 4-3. You can see a lot of bad teams think that it's their defensive scheme that is what's holding them back. So you'll see teams that switch from a 3-4 to a 4-3 constantly don't get any better because you need stability to build around it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I was the Bills, I would have moved back to a 4-3 defense. I think I would have just tried to continue the 3-4 dream. Because when you switch those defenses, you push yourself back 3 years
at least
to try to get because your defensive tackles have to turn into nose tackles. Your defensive ends have to turn into outside linebackers, which means they have to get quicker. Your defensive tackles have to turn into like defensive end interior guys. It's just a mess to try to fit those square pegs into those round holes. But the Bills' loss is the Chiefs' gain because Ragland can play a 3-4 inside linebacker. He is the old school thumper.
And the Chiefs have been needing that for the last couple of years. And hopefully that run defense improves.
I do not know if we will see Ragland very much this year. He should have a little bit of 3-4 familiarity because Rex Ryan and Bob Sutton are their defenses are close to one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ragland also played 3-4 with Saban. So
yeah, and he's still trying to recover. So
yeah,
there's really no hurry for him. Let him learn the system, and just don't throw the guy to the wolves.
Yeah, I don't foresee this ending super poorly for the Chiefs.
No,
there's a lot of upside, and worst comes to worst, for a 5th round pick, you're still only getting kind of a bubble guy. You might get a special teams guy with a 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're not really giving away a whole lot.
No, not at all.
And speaking of not giving away a whole lot, the Chiefs also traded a pick to get one of the worst offensive linemen in Cleveland history.
Yeah, with Cameron Irving, played at Florida State.
All-American at Florida State.
Yes.
As a left tackle and a center.
That's pretty cool. Won the national title the year that they won, and Jameis Winston was the QB then, so the guy is versatile.
The problem that Irving has is when he was prospective draft pick, a lot of scouts saw that he moved from the left tackle spot to the center spot because that's what Florida State needed. So they thought, well, this is a guy who can play every position on the line. And the Browns were like, well, we're set at left tackle. We're set at right tackle. Let's see if we can make him a guard. And Irving had never played guard before. And to never play guard before and then get thrown in with the big boys.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. And
that would be hard.
Like he was a literal turnstile.
Yeah.
At Cleveland.
And the Browns are not a very good team. And
he has the physical tools that he could be a good swing tackle. And I think that is what the Chiefs cutting Ja Reed showed, is that the Chiefs are going to keep suit up 7 linemen every game. You will have your 5 positions. You will have Fulton, who is your swing guard or your swing inside. So he'll play left guard, right guard, and center. And he can fill in anywhere there. And then you'll have Irvin, who can fill in at left tackle or right tackle. That's the way the Chiefs like to keep their line. And basically, he's a cheaper option than Ja Reed. And Reed didn't look good. Ja Reed looked bad this preseason. And Cameron Irving is cheaper.
And younger, too.
Cheaper, younger. You get longer control of him. And the thing a lot of people forget about offensive linemen is offensive line is a process. It's a process longer than quarterbacks, running backs, anybody on your defense. Because defensive linemen are so much bigger in the professional level than they are at the college level that it literally takes you 3 years just to catch up physically.
Especially, let's talk about Eric Fisher was a prime example of that. He looked
like garbage the first 2 years.
Yeah,
garbage.
And I was like, man, we just used the very first pick of the draft on this guy. Well, he's pretty good now.
He is an above average.
Yeah, he's not
left tackle.
He's not a Pro Bowler.
He's not Joe Thomas. He'll never be Joe Thomas.
Yeah,
but he is serviceable for what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to give the guys time. So we'll see what I hope Cam Irving makes me look like a soothsayer of me singing his praises right now, because there is a chance that he could still be the same guy who was just a wet paper bag.
Yeah, so you never know. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully it's going to be a good one. So those were the 2 most recent trades, and we talked about David King getting traded to the Titans. I'm sure the Chiefs will find some hidden gems on the waiver wire.
Yeah, the waiver wire is going to be odd because the Chiefs are so far back that you really have to search for diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
I do not think that they're going to get too many people from.
No. I don't think so either, because they're pretty much, they're really set already. And 2, I mean, like you said, they're going to be a little too far back, and that most of the good players will probably be gone.
Yeah. Not that there's very many good players who end up getting cut.
That is true.
But I mean, we'll see. And then we'll see who passes the waiver wire to make it on.
for the
camp
practice
bodies.
squad.
Yeah, the practice squad.
So along with the cuts, it was announced that Tom Bahali was put on the PUP list. So he won't be able to play for 6 weeks.
Yeah, he will not be available. 7, I think.
It'd be about week 7.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I don't remember if he's allowed to play week 6. So
this was kind of a surprise because no preseason snaps. He's 34 years old. He says he's healthy, but maybe it's just a plan to, hey, we're gonna need you more later in the season. We don't want you wearing out early.
There's no reason to use your best guns in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah,
you can't win a Super Bowl in the first 6 weeks. But
No.
you can certainly lose your chance to make it to the playoffs in the first 6 weeks. And I think that's kind of what the Chiefs are gambling on, is hopefully Dee Ford is good enough that we can get through the first 6 weeks without needing Tom.
Last year, Dee Ford had a pretty hot start and then kind of tailed off.
Ford ate off a bad left tackles.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You can't be mad at a guy for doing what he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. And then once competition got a little better, he kind of tailed off a bit. And hopefully he's worked on a couple block shedding moves and got stronger so he could bull rush a bit. Because that one
trick pony that he is, you got to have more than one trick.
Yeah.
Even if it's a really good trick, that guy is the fastest I've seen off Derek Thomas.
Yeah.
But if you over pursue the quarterback and miss him every time, it doesn't matter.
No, because the guy's gonna go right past you, and then you're gonna look like an asshole.
Yeah.
So, basically, Tamba is. I'm sure he's gonna hang up the cleats soon. He's kind of a player-coach role right now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Tamba after this year. From what he says, he wants to play longer, but I do not think there's a spot for him in the Kansas City rotation after this year. So we'll see what happens. Father Time's undefeated, so
that is true.
We'll see what happens with Tamba.
I felt like, they have some good outside linebackers. So, I mean...
Yeah, hopefully Passano can step up and try to take his spot, too.
Yeah, that dude he's a monster. So, okay. You and I have kind of talked about all the trades that have been going on. And usually in the past, the Chiefs are pretty conservative with their draft picks by trading. They like to build through the draft. They traded up for Mahomes. So far, we'll see how it pans out. It's looking good. He's looking like one of the, if not the best quarterback in that draft class. And then they traded for Ragland, which that pick isn't until 2019's draft. And then the Irving trade, and then those are the ones that kind of stand out. They don't have a first-round pick next year. Do you think that it's the new GM is kind of being a little reckless with it?
Well,
or
the new GM did not trade up to get Mahomes. That was his predecessor.
Yes.
But here's the thing. The Chiefs were put in a very hard position cap-wise. They were put in such a hard position that they had to cut Jeremy Mack. They had to cut a very, very good wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't have to cut one of your highest-paid people just to pay the rookies. And with trading for Ragland, trading for Irving, you shed 2 veterans. The Chiefs freed up almost $8 million by cutting Reed and Malga.
I didn't know it was that much money. So
Seems it's a lot of money.
That's a solid business decision. Going back to Jeremy Maclin, he last season he played with a torn groin, and he is 30, and Father Time is undefeated. We'll see how he does at Baltimore.
Wish him the best.
Wish him the best, and maybe it kind of makes the team younger in a way with the cuts and in these trades, because the 2 guys they got, well, they're under 25.
They're under 25, and they're both under contract for multiple years.
Yeah, so that's a win-win. I'm starting to open my eyes more about this situation, because after the 3rd trade, I was like, what the hell is going on? But, after we're kind of breaking this down, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and there's really the Maclin cut hurts because of sentiment.
Yeah.
And you pay Maclin too much because of sentiment. And the thing is, good football teams don't pay for sentimental value. They pay you for what can you do now, not what did you do then.
Yeah.
Because you're going to work yourself into a lot of money trouble. What did you do then?
Mm-hmm.
Not what can you do for us now. You saw it with the bad Bo money. You saw it with the bad Maclin money. Maclin was overpaid because he was a free agent. And because he's a draw because he went to Mizzou.
And it cost the Chiefs the tampering deal too.
Yeah, and it cost the Chiefs like a 2nd and a 6th, I think.
I think it was that 3rd and a 6th, because they didn't. They needed that 3rd round pick. They needed to get that back somehow, and I think that is when they traded down and got Chris Jones in the 2nd.
Yeah,
or they got an extra 4th round pick, an early 4th round pick. So makes sense. That kind of opens things up a bit, and
yeah, you just don't see this many trades in professional football. You see it in baseball, you see it in basketball, because a lot of schemes in other sports are a lot closer. You trade for a second baseman in baseball. Playing second base is the same in Omaha as it is in Wichita, as it is in New York, as it is in California.
Mm-hmm.
Second base is second base.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna be in this one spot. It's always just gonna be me versus the pitcher. But you don't see as many trades like that in the NFL because of scheme stuff.
Yeah. Because each team
it's
is
fairly
different.
new.
Yeah.
It's fairly new, so it's very easy to be afraid of what the Chiefs are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's unusual.
Yeah,
it's just unusual for it to happen.
Yeah. It's like, oh, why? And you don't want like a situation like the Herschel Walker trade back in the day with the Cowboys. How they traded their best player and they built a dynasty out of it, and it really screwed up the other team.
Yeah, you want to be the Cowboys. You don't want to be the Vikings in that situation.
You don't want.
Nobody ever wants to lose a trade.
No, and
it sucks. It sucks to lose trades, man.
Yeah,
but I think all of these trades being so low risk.
They basically gave up hardly nothing.
They gave up maybe a fringe starter or a good special teamer for a guy who could be a starter. in both scenarios with Irvin and Ragland.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad a deal as people make it seem. And with Smith probably being gone next year, I think you can afford to keep around some more of our talent that the Chiefs have with all the money we're saving just from all of these trades. But speaking of Alex being gone, Mahomes, at the beginning of the preseason, I was scared of Mahomes starting. But through this preseason, I feel like if something should happen to Alex, I am not scared of Mahomes taking over.
I feel the same way. I feel better.
It's partly because Mahomes has been so good, but it's also because Bray has been so bad.
Yeah. And
just so bad.
Let's look at like last year when Alex got hurt and Foles took over. I feel more confident with Mahomes than I would feel about Foles taking over when he was there, if that makes any sense. It's just you feel good about it. And yeah, he makes some rookie mistakes, but he really grew as a player from that first preseason game to preseason game 4. And I think he has a very bright future ahead, and it's really up to him how he deals with it. Well, I think that we could stop there, and that would be the end of our show. And thank you for listening. We'll release a new episode. Shoot for Wednesdays or Thursdays. Remember, kickoff is Thursday versus the Patriots. So, go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.